Hi everyone, I'm Nicole. Thank you so much for clicking on this video. Today, as you know by the title, I'm going to be walking you through how to utilize the Vlookup formula in Excel. So if you are new to the world of Excel, don't worry, I promise you I'm going to try my absolute best to make this beginner friendly and walk you through, so you really understand why you're typing in what and what the formula consists of to utilize Vlookup. So yeah, if you're a beginner to Excel, all I can say is be patient. You can learn it. I promise you can learn it. I, obviously started from a place where I didn't know anything about Excel, and now I do it for my full-time job. So yeah, I hope you can take something away from this video. And if you have any follow-up questions to anything I covered related to Vlookup or anything you see me walking through, please let me know down below and I will get back to you. So yeah, let's get right into it. So here's the data that we're going to be working off of. This is all stuff I just made up, and essentially this data just represents a hypothetical scenario where you have student names in a class, and then we have midterm grades, and then also final exam grades. So these are the values that are associated with the students. So let's go ahead and get into the VLOOKUP. So let's say you want to look up any student in this list and you want it to populate the final exam score. So in order to start the VLOOKUP formula, I'm going to go ahead and just start with Anna K. So let's say we want to be able to look up Anna K's test score. I'm going to type Anna K there just so we can check the formula right away. And I'm going to go ahead and start the formula. So you're going to type equals VLOOKUP, open parentheses, and then we're going to select the lookup value. So what the lookup value is basically what you want the formula to look at, and then pull the value associated with it. So in this case, we want to, determine what the grade is for Anna K. So we're going to select what we just typed in. So we're going to select Anna K, and then I'm going to insert a comma, and then I need to select the table array. So what the table array is basically where all the data is living. It's not just the column that you want the value from. It's going to be inclusive of whatever you're looking up. So in this case, since we're looking up the names, you need to make sure you're including the names and then also the data, which is the final exam score that we want. So just to kind of give you a little bit more understanding, if we're looking for midterm, then all we would need to select in here is A to B. But because we're looking for the final exam score, you need to make sure you're selecting A to C. So it's okay that midterm's in here. You don't have to delete it out or anything, because we're gonna basically tell the formula what column we want it to look at to pull the value. But just so you know, you need to make sure that even if there's a ton of data in between what you need, it's okay that it's there. You just need to make sure that you're telling the formula where to look. So in this case, it's A to C, right? Because we have our student names that we're looking at, and then we want the final exam score. So I'm gonna insert another comma, and then it's asking us what the column index number is. So what this is you're basically going to count from whatever the first column was that you selected to wherever the value is that you want it to return with the VLOOKUP formula. You're going to count how many columns that is. So in this case, student names is our first column. So this is 1. Then we have B, and then we have C. So it's 1, column 2, column 3. So basically what column we need to input here is wherever the value or the data lives that we need it to basically return with the VLOOKUP formula. So in this case, it's final exam, right? Because that's what we're looking for. We're looking for the final exam scores. So we're going to count 1, 2, 3, and we're going to put 3 in here. Then you're going to do a comma, you're going to do a 0, and then you're going to hit enter. So you see how this says NA? This is because something with whatever we typed in here is case sensitive and it doesn't align with what's here. So I'll show you what I mean by this. So I typed in Anna K, right? It looks the same to the naked eye, but it's really not. And the reason it's not is because there's a little space in between the K, or sorry, not in between the K, after the dot, right? After the period and where the cursor is. So there's a space there and there's not a space over here. So I'm gonna show you what I mean by this. I'm gonna insert a space, I'm gonna hit enter. All of a sudden it fixes the formula. So this is an issue if you have things that are complicated, to type, or obviously, like I said, spaces you can't really see to the naked eye. So that is problematic. So I'm going to show you how to fix that in a little bit. But before I do that, I want to go back to the NA. So let's say you get this, right? This basically means whatever you typed in here, it's not applicable. They couldn't find it. The formula couldn't find it in the table, and based on everything that you put in the formula, it can't find it. So let's say in this case it's not because the name is case sensitive, meaning let's say it's not because you typed something in wrong. This student just doesn't exist. So let's do let's see, there's no Brandon S on here. So let's do Brandon S. So let's say I want to see Brandon S's test score. Well, Brandon S doesn't exist. So I want it to tell the person that's searching for Brandon S that Brandon S isn't a student in this class. So I'm going to say student not found. And sorry, I didn't walk through this formula, but essentially what you're doing is you're putting a if error before your VLOOKUP, because basically it's just protecting the VLOOKUP. So it's saying whatever happens with the VLOOKUP, if, you know, for whatever reason, if there's an error with that value that the VLOOKUP is returning, you want the cell to include student not found instead. So whatever you're doing in the parentheses, that's what you want to type. So let me just copy this really quick. I'll show you what I mean. If you want it to populate nothing, if like they can't find Brandon S, then you'll just do 2 of these quote marks and then you'll just hit enter. So, you know, it doesn't give you anything. But if you want it to indicate a problem, so let's say, like I said, you want it to let the person know that the student isn't in the class, it doesn't exist, you're going to type in whatever you want, student not found, whatever, and that's going to be what it returns. That's what it's going to tell the user based on whatever they typed in. So you can kind of play with that a little bit if you want, but I'd always recommend, you know, including if error. It just cleans your data and makes it look prettier. So anyway, that's just another bonus. And so yeah, you have your, excuse me, you have your formula. So let me just do MSC. As you can see, I typed in another name on the list and it populated. So going back to what I said about Anna K, right? There's a space there, didn't know there was a space, and maybe there's a ton of spaces in here. The easiest thing you can do, and what I definitely would recommend doing, I'm gonna change this. This is a little bonus for you guys. Instead of saying type name below, I'm gonna change this to select name below. And we're actually gonna make a drop-down list for this instead. So let's say you have like hundreds of students and you just don't wanna have to type in everything because you don't wanna have to worry about it being case sensitive. All you need to do is insert a list instead, and it's only going to capture the students that are relevant to the data, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come up here so you're going to select where you want the drop-down list. So wherever the name was before, you're going to select data. Oops, you're going to select data, and then you're going to come over here to this little section right here with the checkbox and the little like cancel thing. Data validation, we are going to select list, because we are wanting to basically make a drop-down list, right? And we do have the source. The source is basically where you want this data to pull from. So if you want a drop-down list, what data is it going to be showing in the drop-down list? That's essentially what we're doing. So we want all the names, right? Because these are all the names that we can look up based on the final exams, right? Because these are inclusive of all the students for this teacher. So once we have the source and you make sure you select all the names, then I'm going to hit OK. And now we've essentially eliminated all the naked eye errors. You know, you don't have to worry about typing in the name specifically. Maybe you spell someone's name wrong. You don't have to worry about that because you selected all of the, you know, names that are in the list and there's no room for error. So now I can just go through here and be like, okay, I want to see this person's name, and boom, there you have it, their final exam score. So anyways, that's all I have for you guys. Like I said, this is the VLOOKUP formula. I highly recommend inputting something with if error just to make it cleaner. But in general, I hope this tutorial was helpful for you guys. Let me know if you have any follow-up questions or you just need a little bit more clarification on something I covered. I am more than happy to walk you through that. So yeah, thanks for watching, and I hope you have a great rest of your day. Thanks.